Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about the poetry translation activity. This is a writing prompt. You can use it as a short writing prompt, or you can make it a full class activity. But I put scare quotes around translation specifically because this is not a proper translation as such. This is a writing exercise to generate new creative material. You could do this with a short story or something like that as well, but I think it lends itself better to poetry. Basically what you do is you take a poem in a language that you don't read, and you translate it. This is, you're not trying to actually translate it here necessarily. What you're doing is creating a new poem inspired by this language that you don't read. So I had a creative writing instructor who gave us poems, I think by Rilke, German poems. None of us read German. And he basically said, create new poems based on the sounds of this, based on what the words look like. Read these poems and try and recreate them or create something new inspired by them. So that's the kind of thing that you want to do for this activity, is basically just use another poem as a jumping off point, but because you're choosing a language that you don't read, this is not about faithful translation where you're accurately reflecting the language, the ideas, the style, the sound in the original language. This is about using that as inspiration to create your own new work. I personally think it's easier to do this with... Sorry, got pollen here. I personally think it's easier to do this with a poem that's in the same alphabet that you read. So if you're an English language speaker, reader, choose a poem in Spanish, in German, in Yoruba, in whatever it is. I think that will be easier than choosing, say, a poem in Russian, in the Cyrillic alphabet, or in Japanese characters, something like this. I think it's easier to draw on what you think the sounds of those words may be if you can read the letters, even if you don't know what the words mean. Because again, that's it isn't just I'm doing anything here. It is I'm trying to puzzle out this thing that I don't have the tools to properly puzzle out, and that's how you generate this new creative piece. You often people, when they do these types of activities, will in some way label their new poem as inspired by this original poem by the author, or you could call it a very loose translation, though that's kind of not accurate. So I would probably create your own title, obviously, for the poem, and then I would, underneath that title in slightly smaller script, write inspired by title of the original poem by poet, and then use that to sort of frame and help people make sense of what's going on here.